very good afternoon to everyone. Just want to know if I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Ekta.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, hello all. A very good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Ekta Dubey, on behalf of the Branalytics team and our title partner, Avaya India, we welcome you all and thank you for being part of our webinar, Smart CX Talks, Envisioning the New World of Work. Now, before we start the webinar, I would like to highlight a few guidelines and make you people aware of. Requesting all the attendees to be on mute when the speakers are taking the session. There would be a Q&A after each session where the attendees can ask the questions, if any, to the respective speakers. So the guidelines are, basically you need to raise your hand, unmute yourself on your video, introduce yourself, name, company, and ask your question to the concerned speaker. To start with, I would like to introduce our title partner, Avaya India. Businesses are built on the experiences they provide, and every day, millions of those experiences are built by Avaya. For over 100 years, they have enabled organizations around the globe to win by creating intelligent communication experiences for customers and employees. Avaya builds open, converged, and innovative solutions to enhance and simplify communications and collaborations in the cloud, on-premise, or a hybrid of both. To grow your businesses, they are committed to innovation, partnership, and a relentless focus on what's next. They are the technology company you trust to help you deliver experiences that matter. A brief about our webinar today. CX has always been the king of buzzwords because we live in a customer-centric world. CX has evolved to become one of the most important cogs in the wheel, driving customer acquisition, retention, and long-term business success for organizations operating across diverse domains. Customer expectations are changing faster and growing more sophisticated than ever before due to the boom in the technology. The webinar, Smart CX Talks, would focus on how to rapidly and effectively adapt your CX for a digital world. In a new normal, equip yourself with exclusive insights from how organizations transform to suit the new norm and reap the rewards of the customer loyalty as a result. Moving further, I would like to invite and start our first session with the keynote speaker, Mr. Saurabh Lakhanpal. To speak about him, Saurabh is a domain specialist across Avaya's customer experience solutions. He is an avid CX advocate and has 12 years of experience in providing contact center and workforce optimization solutions. He has worked in roles like pre-sales, solution consulting, and sales specialist across leading global organizations. And he will be sharing his insights on leading the way in the new world of CX through DX and EX. Over to you, Saurabh, to start your session. Thank you.
Thanks, Ekta, for introducing me. Just a sanity check before I start. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it up? All right. Is the presentation mode working?
Yes.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Where we talk about the new world of work and how customer experience is linked with the employee experience and digital transformation. But before we start, short glimpse of what those experiences are and how we at Avaya help create the experiences that matter.
No audio. Are we supposed to hear it? Because I can
Yes.
see the video, but can't see the audio.
Saurabh, sorry to interrupt. I think there has to be an audio as well with the video.
Yes, they should be.
Okay, we are not able to hear the audio.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I'll just move ahead. So the video, I'll just cover it up what the video talks about. It talks about, there are million of experiences there are out in the world. Every day there are new experiences that there, and we at Avaya help create those experiences, the experiences that matter, and those are remembered by the people. And to start the session, if we talk about the new world, but before going into the new world, we should look at, we live in a VUCA world. It's full of volatility, full of uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. We live in a world that's constantly changing, becoming more unstable each day. Where changes, big and small, are becoming more and more dramatic, and happening faster and faster. And it's becoming more difficult to anticipate events or predict how they will unfold. Historical forecast and past experience uses are losing their relevance now, and barely applicable as a basis for predicting the shape of the things to come. The modern world is more complex than ever, right? What are the reasons for that? What are the effects, problems, and their repercussions are multi-layered, harder to understand. And there are different layers also that intermingle, making it impossible to get an overview of how multiple things are related. And then a one size fits all or the best practices thing is, it has been relegated to yesterday. In today's world, it's rare for things to be completely clear or precisely determinable, right? uh, from a CX or customer experience or collaboration perspective, from a digital conversation perspective, before Feb 2020, when the lockdown hit us, and before that, the conversation was all around big data, predictive analytics, deep learning, machine learning, natural language processing, and other things. And the drivers for those were the innovations were done for growth purposes. The digital transformation would result in a competitive edge for the customers, to minimize the business risks. Those are there, and then at the same time controlling cost as well, right? And from a CX perspective or from a collaboration perspective, the focus was majorly on migrating to cloud, bringing in analytics, bringing in AI into the picture, automating things, and then security as a underlining capability for all the products or solutions out there. We were focused on employee collaboration and customer experience, but then the employee collaboration was kind of a commodity and not prioritized in the customer experience domain that much, right? Then 0.12 micron hit us. It brought the world to a halt, and we entered into a unprecedented VUCA, right? And we all then rushed to the rescue, trying to enable work from home, ensuring effective collaboration, right? Like implementing the remote agent concept for the contact centers. So to take an example, one of the emergency services where we were working, the parents of the communication officers there were not allowing their children to get out of the house and go to the offices to support the emergency services. But then we helped that customer implement that remote agent concept, and the even the 112 calls, the police helpline, and the other emergency services were taken from the home itself. Then customers rushed to acquire digital channels as well, because face to face was no longer a option there. And most of the millennial guys, if you look at, they're very well versed with digital channels. They use social media, they use other channels as well. So most of the companies rush to acquire digital channels. Some few had those earlier as well, but then some did that in the lockdown period. And then companies or organizations were looking at building automation, because there was a lot of load from the call volume perspective or the incoming query perspective from customer side. And because of multiple factors, agents moving to home, employees moving to home, less collaboration and other things, the load was too much. So companies thought of building an automation, and then augmenting networks for that, because the networks were not designed to handle that kind of load. And it was not even designed for the work from home concept. People were coming to office, the office network was there, and then it brought companies to a point where they had to open up some of the applications to either to open internet or give VPN, virtual private network, to their employees, which again increase the load on their VPN network. And then security was a paramount thing in those times, right? Because I'll take an example of a large bank where I was working, and the major concern there was, what if the agents copy my copy the confidential data of customers? What if they take a picture of it? If can they copy the file and send it on their email? So those kind of concerns were there. But then the vendors like us came into to support all the organizations, and we provided multiple solutions to different organizations to cater those security concerns as well. But then as a result of the rescue things that we did, a new commotion came into place because of the inefficient collaboration which was there. Earlier, the employees were in office, right? They were talking to each other. There was a lot of collaboration in between. But then uh, in the work from home scenario, they were not able to effectively collaborate with their peers, with their supervisors, with managers or other people as well. And the customer experience scattered completely. The network was overloaded. There was increased downtimes, and again, as I said in the previous slide as well, the security threats increased a lot in that time period. And but we feel that now the change is just around the corner. We were in a storming phase. We are surviving the present, right? We're living with the decisions made. We applied some tactical solutions to the problems that we had. And most of all, now we are waiting for the vaccine to come so that we can go back to the normal again. And but now, I think from 3 months or 6 months down the line, we would be in a norming phase. We would try to transform the technical solutions that we applied to the long-term solutions. We will innovate on those solutions to ensure better services, along with the availability of those services as well. And then another 6 to 9 months from then, we would be in a performing stage, wherein we would be maximizing on the business, expanding before the demand knocks the door again. And visualization of all the performance metrics which are there, and then really tightening the customer and the employee experience, because those are the things that are there, right? And the experience, if we talk about experiences, the new thing in the market is a multi experience growth. Because from a maturity curve perspective, we started with voice, then there was multi-channel, omni-channel, and then in the near future, there was AI enhanced channels, wherein we were making use of Alexa, we were making use of Google speech thing, and on Apple phones there is Siri. So there were all kind of AI enhanced channels available to the customers. So businesses had to adapt that as well, which was majorly focused on the customer experience. But when we talk about multi experience, it's focused on both customer and employee equally, because it's the experiences that matter. There is a quote from US black you know from a US black activist, where she said, people may forget what you said and or what you did for them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So this is the reason we are talking about the experiences. And it's not just who we who are talking about those experiences, multi experiences. If we take a reference of Gartner, these are the four pillars which Gartner has defined for a multi-experience environment to happen. And it's getting connected. Your customers are all on mobile, they're on social media, they're on digital channels, they're on voice, they're using everything, right? They're using mobile phones. So uh, the basic is, are you available where your customers are available? Is your business available on digital channels? Can they contact you? Is the availability of those channels there? And then moving on to the process orchestration. After your customers reach out to you on those channels, is there a process in place for your employees or for your communication officers or agents to have that information in place so that they know who the customer is? Can they identify that customer? Can they look at if they have all the information available to that customer at their fingertips? They don't have to go here and there or search through multiple applications to get that information. Then managing resources. To your customer is in your environment, your employees can access the information related to that customer, but is that the employee who is the right fit for that customer? Is it the right skilled guy? Or there can be somebody better than him? Are the behavioral traits of employees and customer match? Would they be able to resonate with each other? So all those things comes into managing resources. And then after everything is done, would that employee of yours who is handling the customer has all the knowledge and insights available to him? Human brain can capture so much at a given point in time, but then from your organization perspective, you might have tons of products, right? So gathering the information for that, do the employees have the access to those knowledge bases available right on their fingertips or right in front of the screen, so that they are more knowledgeable and don't talk in a very basic manner to the customers? And then this is how the multi experience framework would look like when we combine all these factors together, which we just talked about. Proactively reaching out to the customers. Now those could be any channel available. The example is uh, on a phone or a SMS or social media, giving them with support of AI, self-service options, wherein I can go to the mobile app, self-serve myself. I don't have to wait for a human to connect with me. And then if I want to make payment also, is the payment secure? Providing them the security compliances, giving the callback options to the customers in case I do want to connect with a human. I'm not satisfied with the self-service options, or I'm not getting the information that I want. Then I connect with the agents. Then identifying the right people to connect to, which technology helps their routing the call to a better skilled person and handing over to the person. And then when the communication officer or the agent comes into the picture, are we providing the context to them, right? So providing context is very important, because whatever I have done on the self service, I would not want to repeat that with the agent as well, right? So I already have done that. Agent should know that, right? So from that perspective, providing context to the people, then providing the guidance also in case there is a new guy coming in, he's not aware of the processes. Providing guidance, providing the knowledge base access and access to the resources as well, because your agent might not be the guy or who would be able to solve all the problems. He might need to reach out to the back office employees as well. So does he has the access to those resources? Is there communication tool available, the collaboration tools available with him to provide that access? and then from supervisor or manager perspective, doing live monitoring and managing those employees in the remote work environment as well. Because in a normal scenario, the supervisors were able to roam around the floor and look at different data. Uh, but then in a remote environment, they should be able to do that. And then after the call is done and everything is sorted with the customer, internally in the organization, managing the performance of the employees, reviewing the staffing. Do we have the right number of people at the right time when the load is more, and with the right skill set as well. The skill set should be there, otherwise the queries of customers would not be solved. And then reviewing those processes, planning around that, and then providing support as overall to operations is what multi experience framework looks like. And from a collaboration perspective, if you look at the bottom three pictures, multi video meetings, screen sharing, or record meetings, this was available earlier as well. But then from a collaboration perspective, employees should have a persistent messaging available as well. They should be able to communicate with their peers. There should be a file sharing availability and task management within those collaboration tools itself, so that they can collaborate better and do work in a better manner, right? And the road to success would be a multi experience. And because if you look at CX and EX, which is customer experience and employee experience, is are two sides of a coin also only, right? So they are not different. And if you're doing all that without even doing the digital transformation, then the customer experience will impact, because the customers would be trying to reach out to you on different digital channels. And if you're not available on digital channels, that customer experience will impact. And initially I talked about the key drivers which were there for the digital transformation, which was cost cutting, innovation, security and compliance, and all those things. But now the strategy for digital transformation is driven by behavior, from the consumer behavior. The which are now what it has to be virtual, right? Everything is virtual nowadays. Even if I'm talking to my family or friends, I'm doing it virtually through video calls, right? So business has to be virtual. It and has to be on demand as well. So everything moving to cloud again is a digital transformation driver. So it has to be on demand as and when I require, right? And then the content that you give to me, or the content that I access, it has to be personalized and enabled with the self-service. So I'll take an example of movie streaming company, right? uh, I would want to see content which is personalized to me. If I am, or if I am, watching a certain genre of movies, I should be notified about those genre of movies only. I should not be. I'm sorry. I should not be notified about a plethora of movies which are not just relevant to me, and should be self-served. I should be self-served. I should be able to help myself there. And with that, I would thank all of you for your time. And just want to highlight one thing. Whatever I presented is completely in essence of what I have feel personally. During the lockdown, talking to the various organizations, where various customers, and what all was there from customer experience perspective before lockdown, during lockdown, and now after the lockdown is getting over, how we are seeing the trends. So it's completely essence of that. And with that, I thank you all. Ekta, over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Saurav, for the interesting session. So everyone, we are open for the Q&A. So if you guys have any Q&A, please ask your question. I have set the guidelines. You need to raise your hands, introduce yourself, your name, company, designation, and put your question to Saurav. So wait for audiences to raise their hands, Saurav.
raise your hands digitally.
Yes. Anyone, please be open to asking questions. Okay, we just have a chat message from Sadhan that great insights but no queries. So I think Saurav, you were quite clear in your presentation. So is that okay if we move to the next session? And in case people have questions, they can put in the chat window, or after this we have a panel. And again, after panel, we have a good 20 minutes of Q&A, which is open to the forum. So people can definitely ask the questions if they have any with you. Is that okay?
Yep. I'll keep monitoring the chat if there are any questions and respond there.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we had great insights from Saurabh. We understood how do we lead the way in the new normal through CX. Moving on to our last session, which is an interesting panel discussion, which talks about transforming CX in the new normal, adapting to the new world of digital interactions. I would like to welcome our panel moderator, Kshitij Mishra, Sales Engineering Leader, Avaya, who is going to moderate the session. To speak about Kshitij, Kshitij leads Tech Ops organization in Avaya. He carries vast experiences across IT and ICT domains and help organizations roll out their business strategy through technology solutions. In his current role, he is accountable for delivering on the organizational mission to be the futuristic technology conscience of the sales organization and a trusted advisor to the customer. In addition, Kshitij also leads Avaya's strategic initiatives around artificial intelligence or machine learning based solutions. Over to you, Kshitij, to introduce the panel speakers and start with the moderation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ekta. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
You know, the most beautiful part of being a panel is the introduction that you guys share, because, you know, it motivates. It's the only motivation for us to be ready for the next session to come. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would just request if all the speakers, if it's okay with them, to on their video so that our audiences, you know, really connect if they see you with the talks, if that's possible from your end.
Yes, we have the entire panel. So first of all, a warm welcome to our honorable panelists and amazing people out there who pulled time out of their busy schedules for this event today. Thank you so much for being with us. And before I begin individual introduction of our marvelous panelists, let me just share a few common traits that they share. You know, so one is that they all are thought leaders and strategy makers of the business backgrounds they come from. Two, they are all joyful guys who have spotted opportunities in adversities and delivered the outcome for their businesses. And third, they led by examples in this tough time and demonstrated successes for their customers as well as for their own employees. Last but not the least, you can see all of them are so good looking that I had to undergo a cosmetic makeover to be eligible as a moderator for them. So thank you so much, guys. And individually, if I look at, I would like to start from Amit Sharma. Amit, raise your hand, please.
Hey, Javed, how are you doing?
Good, Amit. Amit is Managing Director, Mirage Entertainment Limited. And for those who do not know Mirage is one of the fastest growing brands in the movie exhibition sector, multiplexes and mall management. Amit has vast experience in terms of managing hospitality and entertainment industry business. One of the key things, and I would like to start with Amit after introduction round, that his business was most impacted business of, and we would really love to hear from him. What did he do in that time, and how did he really make his business successful in that? Personally, Amit loves to add value to anything which touches his life, be it nature or humans or animal. anything. He's a guy who really looks forward to do something good for anything that is around him. The second panelist that we have is very interesting one. His name is Murali Krishnan. Murali, why don't you raise your hands and say
Hello,
hello to
everyone.
all?
Hi, Kshitij.
Fantastic. Murali is Chief Branding Officer at Wow Momo Foods Private Limited. Whenever you visit any mall, any good marketplace, you will see a Wow Momo outlet, and you won't believe that the organization has the current evaluation is approximately 900 crores. Too much money for momos. Yeah, it's
Do less for us.
It's growing internationally. It has been liked by people of every age. And what Murali loves is creativity. He loves writing. He's into theaters. He loves reading, watching movies, and everything that comes his way. So welcome, Murali.
Thank you. It's a wonderful feeling to be part of the panel.
Fantastic.
In fact, when we were discussing internally, we were just having a chat, and I was telling my team that I'm into a panel discussion which is talking about changing way of future of work. My team was like was looking at me and saying that, sir, what are you going to do there? It's interesting how for an industry like us, which is extremely people facing, even for us to look at small changes is also a big change. So I keep calling that the biggest small change in the way we work, because we are such a human interacting, interfacing industry, and for us this has been a revelation.
Fantastic. Thanks, Murali, for being with us. And we have our third panelist, Sudhir Dasamanta Rao. Hey, Sudhir. Yeah, Sudhir is Director Global Business Services for APAC region at Boston Scientific. Boston Scientific is one of the largest and most popular medical equipment manufacturing organization with a roaring number of approximately 27.2 billion euros, right, Sudhir? And Boston Scientific is famous for something which we do not want to buy, is something called as Taxus stent. A stent that is used for cardiovascular surgery. Everybody likes it. Nobody wants to buy it. Still, these guys are selling it like hotcake. Sudhir loves watching movies, writing books, a very good guy from his heart. And I think there's a lot of insight which is going to share how Boston Scientific really come up to the occasion in this testing time.
Thanks, Srijit, for the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. We have got Tushar Joshi. Hi, Tushar.
Hi, Kshitij. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Tushar is General Manager, Digital Customer Experience at Schneider Electric. More than a decade of experience in terms of scaling the omni-channel capability and relation building mechanism for his organization. He loves gardening and outdoor sports. And Tushar, I think you must be gardening your own gardens and then exercising over there. While we were under pandemic, Schneider Electric and guys at Schneider Electric were very, very busy in terms of ensuring that the electricity automation which they have provided to the sector works perfectly fine with precision. So thank you so much, Tushar, for joining us. And last but not the least, very interesting guy, Arvind Mohan. Arvind had customer experience at Delhivery. Everybody knows Delhivery now in the pandemic. Yeah, he's a dynamic professional with multifaceted experience of 27 years. Apart from making mark in the corporate sector, Arvind has also led good positions in Indian Army, very diverse experience in terms of leadership. If you look at the Delhivery, you will be surprised to know that so far they have fulfilled around 800 million orders for more than 250 million households across India. Can you imagine 1/4 of the population is being served by Delhivery so far? Arvind loves traveling and golfing. So welcome, Arvind. And before I begin with Amit, let me just give you how do I relate with these all gentlemen. One, so you are in a pandemic time, you are locked down, so you need electricity. And Tushar and his team was helping us get the smooth electricity. Okay. While we are having full electricity all the time, 24/7, 365, we were needing entertainment. Yeah. And Mirage Entertainment helped us got those movies and other things. While you were watching movies, you were hungry. So Murli Krishna helped us get wow momos. Okay. Which were delivered by delivery team. Thanks to Arvind. And those who did not exercise may be needing some stent somewhere. And we have got Sudhir smiling. Yeah. So that's how the whole ecosystem worked. Coming back to the business, guys, I have 3 questions. And I think I would love to begin with Amit. Amit, in this testing time, how did COVID-19 impacted your business? I mean, media, entertainment, malls, multiplexes across 13 states, 144 screens that you have. So how did this business impact, this COVID-19 time impacted your business? That's one. 2, what did you do to manage that situation? And how did you use technology to motivate your employees and maintain your customer segment?
Hi, Chitish. Thank you very much for a lovely introduction. So, I mean, बहुत दिनों के बाद में किसी के मुंह से इतनी तारीफ सुनी खुद की नहीं. Thank you very much for this, because see what happens in this pandemic time, you are actually just trying to look at yourself and just you are also just trying to understand what happened. I mean, so if you look at if I'll talk about our industry, and when you look at the listed companies like Inox and PVR, I mean, they all were at their highest stock price in January, February 19 and 20. I mean, 2100 and 510 kind of number for their share price, and we were one of the the most loved investor industry, and we were riding very, very high. And but unfortunately, this incident happened. So I mean, you have rightly put across that we are the worst hit industry in this entire situation, because we were the first to close down. I mean, if you look at the whole country has closed down from 25th of March, but multiplexes stopped running in India from 14th and 15th of March itself. And we were the last to get the permission to get open, which is from 15th of October. And when you look at it in a staggered manner, there are still few states in this country which has not allowed, including Rajasthan, Orissa, and Jharkhand, to not to start the cinemas yet. So even if you talk from a reopening perspective, the cinema industry is still someone who's still struggling for reopening in few of the states. So honestly speaking, the first 15 days was a holiday for us. I mean, we thought probably it is a matter of time, 15 days, month, 1.5 months, and then we'll be back into the game once again. And so the first 15 days we were actually enjoying. And when we realized that probably Delhi abhi dur hai, and the situation is actually getting worse day by day, and that was the time actually the first job which we have gone and done was employee engagement. I mean, so when you look at multiplex industry is a mall management or mall industry, what we talk about is out of home entertainment. I mean, people need to come out of their homes, they need to go start enjoying the services what we offer to them. And we are also a very when you look at it's a very high strength employee kind of industry. I mean, we are not somebody who's and there's a lot of people who are there in different state of the country. So we operate around 51 multiplex as we talk right now. And so there are so many number of employees. So there are 1,500 odd people who was there on our payroll and to whom we need to talk to and to whom we need to reach out to. So the first thing what we understood and what we learned is in the entire thing was actually getting connected to Zoom. I mean, the virtual meeting, which we have never actually looked at. I mean, when you look at पहले कैसा होता था कि प्री पैंडेमिक आप किसी को बोलते थे कि यार वीसी करनी है तो वो बोलता था यार आप आ जाओ दिल्ली आ जाओ बॉम्बे आ जाओ मिल लेते हैं सर ड्रिंक के ऊपर बैठ के बात कर लेंगे. And it was a complete new thing when you looked at that there is a Zoom meeting which you can do or other virtual meeting you can go and do it. So first and foremost thing what we have gone and done, we reach out to our employees. I mean, that was a very difficult time for those people as well. So employee engagement in terms of motivating them, that was the first criteria. And when we understood and when we started learning from the other peers in the, not just from India market, but at the same time from the global market, like, when cinemas are reopening in the other countries, so what are the new normal? What are the new rules and regulations they need to offer? So there are a lot of things. I'll tell you from a technology perspective, what happens is adaptability, adoption, and acceptance is the biggest problem. You go and do a lot of things manually, and there are certain ways you keep on doing those things for years on years basis. Even somebody comes with a kind of technology where you say that these things can make your life easy, acceptance and adaptability always remains the question. And we realized that probably post-pandemic, this is not a choice anymore. This becomes necessity for us. So we always had this option of going ticketless box office, where you do not give a physical ticket to a customer who comes in. But this entire thing got succeed in the pandemic time. We always had this technology where somebody is sitting inside in the auditorium and basically ordering his popcorn and Coke, sitting inside from his seat, just like using a barcode scanner. We had this technology, but we were not using it. When it comes to cinema projection system, I mean, just to give you a perspective, if you run a 5-screen multiplex, you basically hire 10 number of projection operator, 5 in the morning shift, 5 in the evening shift, and those guys actually run the projectors, individually. But there is a technology which was available that one guy in the morning and one guy in the evening can actually run all the 5 projections. It's the technology is already there. I mean, that was already there. But unfortunately, we were have this kind of mentality of running the shows manually. Now what happens is all these things have become part and parcel of our life that we do not have any other choice but to go and adopt it. So what happens, the certain things and technology which was there for years and we were not accepting those technology, we had to go and speed up things. We have actually the car which was running at a speed of say 10 for technology adoption, it has now suddenly moved to 100 ka speed. And all that technology which was available, we started implementing it. So implementation also requires a training to the ground staff who runs the show, to the people who are actually gonna go and use this technology. And virtually we had gone and trained those staff for the last 6-7 months. I mean, how to go and use this technology. And that's where the key is. There is another point probably, I can put across that we have gone and catered around 20 million customers last financial year in 1920. And so when you look at, there are approximately 20 million people who comes to Mirage Cinemas every year. So it was very, very important to also to have those customer engagement going on. So though we were shut, but from social media, through our website, through our apps, we kept on talking to those guys. We kept on engaging with those customers so that the touch is not missed. And we kept on sending them those trailers, those new updates, what's happening around the media and entertainment industry, the kind of news, what's floating in the market, just to keep them updated about what's happening in the entire business. Lastly, to put across, of course, we had this internal external customer board to look at, and we started the cinemas now. Unfortunately, the situation is not improved for us yet because we are one of the medium of screening the films. I mean, we rely on our content from the content maker side, and we'll look at another 3-4 months of gestation period from here, from where we can actually look at the normalcy resuming post-April. But yeah, basically this technology, use of digitalization in different part of our business, definitely we have lost a good 1 year and there's a lot of amount which we have lost. But what I can look at and understand from this, that the overall customer experience, which is going to a next level because of use of this technology, and the kind of money which we will save over a period of time in a longer run because of the use of this technology, I guess the kind of money and the opportunity which we have lost in a year, probably we can actually recoup it in the next 3 to 4 years of time.
Fantastic. So I always recall you saying that in terms of execution, and being ready for the new normal, and even beyond that, you pushed from speed, which is high speed, to a sonic boom kind of situation, wherein everything has to be done at a rapid pace, both in terms of motivating people by helping them collaborate with each other, as well as touching your customer by whatever means you can, so that they remain sensitized and hooked onto your brand, and they are there as soon as the new normal actually become a normal. So I think I can learn from your conversation, Amit, that adoption of any collaboration or customer experience technology, that too at a very, very rapid pace, is something that organization must adapt now, so that whenever the crowd comes in or volumes fall in, organizations are actually ready to manage it.
No, that's basically the human nature. I mean, we always unfortunately, at whether it is organization, whether it is a human who actually goes and use any kind of new technology, we always have our concern about acceptance of a new thing. But at the same time, maybe this kind of situation has pushed us to the wall, and we started accepting it. And probably that's the key. I mean, is it only temporary basis, or this is gonna be permanent in your life, and which will recoup the losses what you have already gone?
Great. And I think speed is the key, as I understand from you, and it relates with your brand, Mirage. 2000, I can remember the first aircraft to enter the sonic boom. Absolutely. I think you are getting the same direction. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you shortly. Tushar, Schneider Electrics, 135,000 plus people across 100 countries, okay? And thousands of customers. How did you manage this situation, being a digital customer experience head?
So yeah, rightly pointed out, Kshitij, we are a large organization. We have a presence in more than 100 countries, 120,000 knowledge workers. And then there are more who are termed as blue-collar workers, or who work in the shop floor. Am I audible to you, or is it difficult for you?
Yeah. Now it's pretty clear now.
It's pretty clear. Okay. Yeah, so we are a large corporation. First and foremost, what we had to do, of course, was looking at our employees, who are our internal customers, of course. And I classify always customers into three parts, especially for us who are from a B2B industry. We have our direct customers. In our sector, it's mostly like electricians and distributors and specifiers and contractors who help us sell our products. And then there is an end consumer. And then lastly, or we can place them as first as well, are our own employees. So there are organizations, and I'm proud to say this is that Schneider is one of them, who always promoted remote work, who always were cautious about the work-life balance of the employees. And that's, I think we were prepared. We were kind of prepared when it came to our 120,000 plus knowledge workers in terms of remote work, or in terms of virtual connects. Of course, for the blue-collar workers who work on our shop floors, it's non-negotiable. They cannot really work from home. So for them, we really had to engage at various levels, make sure that they understand that this is going to be a temporary phase. And this is also an opportunity for them to upskill. They can also use digital means to upskill. They can also use digital means to undergo some trainings, which otherwise would have been very difficult to them. So make the best use of this time that they have got at hand. And when we resume, they come with their skills sharpened, they come maybe upskilled or cross-skilled as well. Also, this gave them assurance that the employment is not really at a risk. So we started with our own internal customers. Then if I have to go to our actual customers, our direct customers, or our end users who are our indirect customers, it's the same. So there were some customers who were ahead of others in this digital game. They had already understood and were convinced about the value of what digital can offer them, what remote services can offer them, versus there were others who really didn't proactively look at it. They were always convinced or partially convinced that yes, this is going to help them, this is going to add value, but till the pandemic hit them, they were not really able to understand the true value of it. So again, we had these two segments of customers, one who were proactive. They were already digitally connected with us. They had enabled their installations and devices so that we could remotely monitor them. So we could offer them a business continuity. We could say that, okay, we are still monitoring your installations, your devices, your factories, your premise remotely. We are able to do preventive maintenance on them. We are able to do predictive maintenance on them. For those who were not digitally connected to us, this was also an opportunity for them to get digitally connected, and an opportunity for us as a business to go to them and let them know that, okay, this is what we could offer you, which will prepare you for the times when we are out of this pandemic situation, everything comes to normal, and then you will be prepared to go full speed from there on. So in a nutshell, that's what I would have to say, that, okay, unpredictability is going to be a constant, and the people who do it a little more proactively in terms of customer experience, digital connectivity, are going to have an edge versus those who are still dragging their feet around it and saying that, okay, maybe it's a thing for the future.
Fantastic. So what essentially mean that while you were concentrating on your customers and trying to ensure that they are digitally connected with you so that business goes on smoothly, you equally focused on the employee experience as well, both in terms of upskilling them for the time to come, as well as providing them technology and solutions so that they can collaborate with each other. I think it's a classic example of multi-experience that we are talking about, that, look, we focused on customer, that is a need of an hour. It was there since ages and it will remain like this. But equal focus has to be given to the employee part of the experience as well, because they are also working in a very different situation, working remotely, not being really connected to each other and feeling kind of hollow when it comes to work hours. And I think this employee experience as well as the customer experience has to be designed in a way that it can manage unpredictability of the business, as well as it should be proactive in terms of delivery, so that you can really take on any challenge which comes across. Thank you so much, Tushar. With this, I would like to switch on to Sudhir Dasamanta Rao. Sudhir, major focus on healthcare, ordering different instruments for medical usage. I think you were on your toes in terms of coming up to your clients' expectations. I mean, what was the scenario which your organization faced, and how really you utilize technology to really take on this challenge?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we are not unique in that sense, because like every industry, every company, right, every organization, the world all of a sudden thrown a challenge, irrespective of the professional experience you have. I think this time became very unprecedented, right, and unpredictable and uncertain, right. And like every company, everyone, there is as you know that when we don't accept the uncertainty, it becomes a fear. When we accept it, it becomes an adventure. So we said that, okay, guys, let's take this as a challenge and see how we can really deal with our customers. How can we ensure that we engage our employees? Because at the end of the day, whatever kind of business and the world all of a sudden became more virtual, right? And how do you deal in this virtual environment? And how do you look at things very differently? And how do you make our employees capable and secure? And their safety is more important, because the hospitals, as you know, people are scared to go to the hospitals, right? There are situations where the hospitals are so crowded with the COVID cases, and then no one is going to come to get these kind of treatments, whether it is related to heart treatment or a transplantation or anything, right? So it's very different altogether in that. So we thought that we had to now look at managing and talking to these doctors and patients more virtual. So how do you bring in the utilization of the technology, explaining the products more virtual and digital? So bringing on the doctors on a common platform, the digitized platform where doctors log in and understand what are these new medical products are up to, right? So, and the selling of these products also becomes really tough, right? And there are different models, as you all know. There is a B2B, there is a B2C, right? And I keep telling, at the end of the day, it is H to H, which is the human to human, right? Whatever name we give, it is all about our human interactions, whether the interactions within our own organization, with interaction with the stakeholders in the organization, or the customers. So how do you make these interactions more interesting and help them connected and understand it? So how do you connect the whole ecosystem, right? And the selling becomes challenging, right? And as a human beings, we all are emotional. So we have a feelings, right? Either some people attracts to the greed when you sell, right? They want more, so they get greedy and listen. There is also a need. And some people are needy, some people are greedy, and some people are fearless or are fearful, and they buy the product, right? Or they don't buy the product. So how do you ensure that you kill if there is a fear in our employees that, oh, if I go out and talk to the hospitals and doctors, I might caught the COVID, right? So how do you provide the safety to them, right? Ensuring utilization of and promoting the technology more and more, right? Whether it is a cloud platforms or the digital platforms, what we have. And thankfully, we invested enough in a couple of years back in these technologies, which helped us ensure that we are able to track the productivity, right? And at one point in time, a lot of people used to talk about the business continuity plans, right? No one thought in this world that the working from home can be the best business continuity planning. None, right? People always talk about, okay, if this site goes down, you go to another site and another country and those kind of plans. And believe me, I think the most untested BCP now has been tested across the world of working from home. So that's going to be more real. And that's how the mental health of the employees is very important. So we used to connect the people through some mindful sessions. People are, mentally logged because they have been just sitting and spending hours and hours of time at home. Not much of collaboration going out because of the pandemic situation. So we try to connect our employees through virtually and help them new skills, because new skills are developed are very important when you have to upskill them in a virtual leadership. How can they still manage things in a new virtual leadership skills? So there are new skills you need to develop and implant in the people. How can we make them more emotionally strong? How can you ensure that you're connected with the right folks? And how can you also seek for help? Because you are living at homes with aged parents or young kids. You still have a responsibility to take care of them. You still have a responsibility to ensure that we have to meet the business needs as well. So how do you help the people balanced, the mental balance, to live in this kind of environment and virtually manage these things? So we really had those connections more often than not, and ensured that our doctors who are serving the patients are doing the right things, and we are able to help them meet those critical needs of critical patients, because these are life-threatening diseases, right? The heart stroke is life-threatening. You can't wait because of the COVID. You can't go, or you can go. You don't have an option. So how do you ensure that you see that the product reaches to the hospital, right? So that the doctor can attend to the patients. So the digital way of driving this whole supply chain, right? Whole supply chain became a standstill. So how do you track your products more digitally? So I think a lot of things right from whole supply chain to the employee and the end delivery to a hospital, and ensuring that the operation happens. So this whole chain have to be digitally driven. And that's where the whole customer experience or employee experience we managed successfully, and still ensuring that the health of the people, health of employees, and the stakeholders are very critical. And that's a great learning experience so far we have.
Great. And Sudhir, I heard you saying very, very important term, which I noted down in our previous conversations, that world has to change from virtual connections to virtual relationships. And I think that is something, because technology can connect you. So obviously you need technology, but technology should also enable you to transform the connects into relationship, because at the end of the day, relationship matters when it comes to business or any kind of engagement. Another very good thing that I learned from your interaction now, that human to human interface. I mean, before COVID, we were talking about human to machine interface. There was a lot of focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning to enable human to machine interface. But I think in this pandemic time, one thing which came very, very, in a very, very open manner, that experiences matter, and that too when human to human interface. I think this has been a good learning from you, Sudhir. I'll come back to you shortly, and let me just invite the Momo man on the panel, Mr. Murli Krishnan. Murli, first of all, what a business line it is. I mean, I think before 2017-18, nobody thought that Momo business can be evaluated at a 900 crore INR. I mean, in this country where every street has 10 Momo shops. Big, big success, and congratulations to you. How you really succeed and maintain this business in the COVID time with the help of technologies that you used? You are on mute, Murli.
Sorry, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, in fact, in the initial days of pandemic, we were all trying to, do our bits by keeping the show on. So there has not been a single day where we have been, except for the first 3 days of Janta curfew. Apart from those 3 days, we've been, most of our outlets have been on across the pandemic, during the pandemic, post-pandemic. So I think the only way to serve people is to the technology of opening the shutter. So that's a very big, very interesting technology, which So we kept our shutters open. We kept our delivery open. So therefore, technology is like I keep telling people that pandemic has taught us that it's not e-commerce, it's e-commerce.
Yeah.
So we in the month of August, we came back to 155% of our delivery numbers what we did in last December. So that's how delivery has become so important. Nationally, with Swiggy and Zomato, we would be a brand. If amongst the national brands, we would be the fourth or third brand to bounce back pre-COVID numbers, more than pre-COVID numbers on the platform. And all because I told you the technology of keeping the shutter open, that's how we've been doing. And obviously, the ease of consumer experience has been worked upon. We've created we are a brand which did not even have a website pre-COVID, which we still don't have a website. But we have had our technology of ordering through social media, ordering through WhatsApp bots, ordering through Instagram. Or ordering to ordering through your WhatsApp number, and you can have it on your phone. So all those 360-degree technology of acquisition, we say technology for acquisition and technology for retention. If I break technology in consumer facing technology broadly between these two parts, we've been doing all sorts. The moment you come to the outlet, you have an experience of seamlessness, contactless delivery. Contactless, the word is I think has been invented during the lockdown, and I'm still figuring out how do we do contactless food. So it's like robots coming and delivering food, but yeah. So we call it.
So Veer can certainly help us get some small tiny robot feeders. Yeah.
So I keep telling people that don't call it contactless delivery, call it minimum invasive delivery or minimum intrusive delivery.
Yes.
So that's how we've been doing. So therefore the entire chain of consumer experience has changed. What I really wanted to bring to the notice to the entire panelists and the people who are here, like I told you that people we are a extremely consumer driven, consumer facing organization and a business. Without consumers we are nothing. And it's very difficult for us to do anything remote, because at the end of the day the last mile of business is basically human touch, right? So we've been really we've actually fast tracked ourselves in 3 major things which I really feel very proud about. Like we keep before the pandemic, the narrative was digitization of human efforts. That's what the narrative was all about. How do I digitize this? How do I digitize this? How do I make it much? How do we make this zero people? How do I make it automation? That's how we've been talking about. But during the pandemic, we realized that we were stuck. Our total workforce is 3,200 people, out of which nearly 2,900 people are people who are 10 pass. Right? Apart from the corporate and finance and the majors, head HODs and all those people, nearly 2,800 to 2,900 people are people who are at the ground level, who just passed, who just minimum education, and they are slogging their day in and day out, working in that outlet, which is possibly 400 square feet or 500 square feet. How do I reach out to him and tell him? So we changed our narrative. We said that it's not about digitization of human efforts. It is basically humanization of technology. That's how we've been doing. It's where we went and said that if I am doing a technology effort which is not being understood by that 10th grade guy, which means that my technology is a fail. How much ever I do this, how much ever science I bring onto the table, if that guy doesn't relate to it and makes it and feels it's intuitive, there's no point of doing that. It fails.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail, because experience that matter, and that we always propagate as Avaya, that whatsoever it is, if it is not intuitive to the person who is actually using it in its daily course,
it's a fail. I'll tell you, I've been personally working on a product pre-COVID. We launched it during the first week of April. Within 20th of April, I redid the entire product.
Oh,
because I realized that I had launched something of my gravitas, or my with my lens.
Correct.
So there are 2 or 3 small things, Shailesh, I will not take much time, which we did. I just thought, it just gives a flip on how technology is not about complication. Technology is about simplification, right?
Wow.
So we have 3 major tenets which we had for our kids on the ground, our people on the ground. First one was suddenly there was this entire training disconnect, because we had a bunch of trainers who used to come and do training to them, and we had field trainers, we had office trainers, we had corporate trainers, we had HOD trainers, right? We have 4 multi levels of training. We have an L&D platform, L&D plan which works for an individual. You come to us, we understand we do an analysis, we do a psychometric, then we put you onto a L&D platform, which is a 3-month tailor-made program, then a 6-month tailor-made program, and then even if 6 months tailor-made you don't succeed, then we put you into other PPEP programs. How do I convert this training process virtually to which is understandable to that kid who is possibly from an interior of Hubli, who's just studied class 10, and possibly the only thing he knows is Kannada, and now he's picking up English little by little, and only Hindi is exposed to is when he is on the counter and when he confronts a Hindi speaking customer. How do I ensure that he is also put into this L&D process? Is what we did. We launched, we created a platform where we entire training module was converted into videos and audios, and this was done over a period of 2 weeks, where all our SOPs, all our modules were converted into video audio, and this platform was huge, was created and was given to every single guy on the ground to learn through videos and learn through audios. Okay, because they are not the people who would read PDFs or Excel sheets or read PPTs. They are not those kind of people. So we converted those into audio and video. And why I'm saying this, because these are all spoken by, like the way I'm talking to you right now, I have spoken on a lot of videos, and that has been converted into video, so that I've explained it to him in his language. we have gotten this is when we realized that we need to do regional language videos and audios. And we went regional language. We started doing regional language of video and audio. This is what we did first thing to counter the training process. Second thing, which was very important for us, is something called F&B auditor. What do they do? They basically go to the store, look at if all the health parameters, store parameters, everything is maintained. If the stocks are maintained properly, if the cash is maintained properly, if the signages are maintained properly. So these are the health F&B auditors. These are the group of auditors who go to the outlet and checklist everything. Is the outlet clean? Is the outlet done this, done that? Is the signage working? Is the till working? Is the POS working? So this is a cumbersome job. This has to be done at a store level.
Yeah.
We tied up, we partnered with a very interesting platform called Wobot. And this also happened in the month of April. So we had 1 month to work together. We converted the entire auditing process online, and we tied up with Wobot. Our store cameras, etc., were in sync. Our store cameras were in sync, and every single audit point. Every single audit point was checked over the camera screening by the auditor sitting at home, and giving a tick mark to the outlet on the platform. And if there was one wrong mark, immediately there was an alarm that was raised at 3 levels of escalation. And finally, we would also get into it if there is something which is breach of SOP. So we did the second, which is, and this is a very cumbersome process. And I'm telling you all these cumbersome things because these, until today, we realize that अरे इसको तो उधर जाके स्टोर में जाके ही करना पड़ेगा, इसका तो कोई solution नहीं है. And the third one was something which I keep telling people, that we discovered something very interesting. How do we ensure work-health balance? Work-life balance is very difficult in honestly, in our industry, because you are putting in that 13 hours, 14 hours, but work-health balance was very important. So work-health balance is what we did, where where we created an internal intranet. Through this intranet, my HR would incentivize people for working, incentivize people for clocking extra hours, incentivize people for taking breaks. And this is how we started engaging with them. There would be
very innovative. And one thing I think you always mention whenever we discuss offline, that you are working to transform conveniences into comforts.
Comfort, absolutely.
I think all 3 steps that you have taken is primarily creating comfort for customers and employees and for your business so that entire chain can be managed. It's a fabulous steps that you have taken, Murli. One very important thing that is coming out very clearly from this conversation with you, Murli, is that user experience by providing intuitive interfaces is a must for any technology to succeed, no matter what. Second thing, which is rhyming with what Amit was saying, that is speed of transformation. What you did not do in last 3 years was done in 1 month. Yeah, I think that's a very, very important and critical thing to understand in terms of transformation. Yeah. Good. I will come back to you in the second round. I think we are running out of time as such. Coming back to the most interesting and happy person, and I intentionally kept him in the end because this man was busy delivering something or other to the doorsteps, whatever it is, be eatable items or medical equipments, anything. So here comes Arvind Mohan. Arvind, how did you really scale up to the demand with the minimum workforce at the field? How did you do it? What technology changes that you made to make it happen?
Thanks, Shailesh. Firstly, is echoing with the thoughts of very many panelists. I resonate with them. At the same time, there are very stark differences in our organization and the kind of industry we are in when this pandemic let loose on us. Everybody was busy working to make sure that work from home is enabled. we, in addition to with 35,000 plus strong force deployed pan India, we were not only taking care of a couple of thousands to get to work from home, enabling them. Also, we were busy collating, collecting, getting the people who on a sudden, over a couple of days when the lockdown was announced and people rushed, to get them back onto the field, and as you said, the demand, the requirements, the expectations grew to make sure that we are up and about. And it took just about 2 days of lockdown when everything was forced, and then essential services, and we are up on our feet, right? So that is one stark difference. Second, I would like to talk about is that this was a journey, this was an experience of getting back with minimal resources, not only from our side, but from our client side also. There were clients there also, their warehouses, their offices, their factories were closed, people were less.
I'm sorry, I will interrupt, Arvind. I would like to let this known to everybody who's hooked on to this seminar that what kind of scale Arvind is talking about. Delhivery has got around 70 hubs, 3,000 direct delivery centers with more than 5,000 partner centers, 15,000 plus vehicles, and more than 40,000 team members who's making delivery of goods possible. And they work 24/7, 365 days in a year. So when Arvind says that, I was trying to settle down the organization in the tough time, imagine the scale at which he was to work. You can carry on, Arvind.
Thanks, Kshitij, for adding those numbers. Just to add another thing is that we are almost doing about 1 million shipments a day. We do almost about 1,500 tons of load from place A to B. We move them. We have almost about 2,000 full truck loads moving, and we have international. So anyway, what I want to say is that all of this is that Delhivery is a very tech-intensive organization. Fortunately, we had been investing into technology. So that wasn't a very big change. What pandemic did to us was that it acted as a catalyst. It acted as a catalyst to hasten up the process of, if I may say, digitization, automation, and making technology adaptable to even our clients and customers. Just to give an example for everybody's pleasure, is that it was a very pleasant experience that during this pandemic, not only the enterprises, even the SMEs and MEs, they also adopted technology at a very fast pace. We're interacting with them. We're trying to integrate them onto our APIs, into our client panels, and to integrate for a seamless experience. When the pandemic started, we saw there's a major shift, and the lot of organizations also started adopting to that. That also forced us to make our APIs, our panels more user-friendly, more visible, right? And bring convenience to the clients in the entire life cycle of the shipment, whether it is ordering. So how technology aided this entire thing was that clients adopted it. And we as an organization, worked day and night at a double speed to make sure they become ease of use, conveniences there, right? Right from ordering to tracking to modification of order, logging a complaint or a ticket, everything becomes seamless. So that was the objective on the client side. That's how it impacted. So on the customer end, to a pleasant surprise, the adoption of technology was really, really interesting. The telecom, in any case, has been supporting, and the rural drive to bring internet to all the locations pan India is a very, very good drive being taken by telecom companies in the country. Also, data being at the rate what it is. So the usage of e-com platform and online has really, really increased. And in fact, for our customers, not only to call us on voice call center, just to inform, we thought of migrating from a voice call center to making it more effective for self-serving for customers. So we are working day and night. With each day, we are improving and progressing as far as our website is concerned. It's more interactive, clearer, ease of use. Self-service, the motive which we are working at. So our website widgets are very, very interactive. We have put a WhatsApp bot there, which is very interactive, and our customers can reach. And of course, the email stays as a backbone for people who can reach out to us and log a complaint. right? So to our pleasure, it was that the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 customers also very happily switched over from our voice-centric call center to interacting and come into this kind of a process. Then also we heard someone talking of contactless and minimal intrusive. Contactless is the order of the day, right? With the kind of fear and the pandemic which we have. So what changed and how we utilize technology here was, we, as I mentioned, 1 million plus shipments a day, right? So 1 million plus shipments are picked up by our team from somewhere and delivered to somewhere in the country, right? So we utilize technology like IVR, which was always there but was not being leveraged. OTP based delivery, OTP based pickups, right? Using QR scan code. It was there since last 3, 4, 5 years, pretty easily available, but was not being leveraged. So we use that. Even small scale, very small sellers and partners also were ready to come onto this facility and utilizing the QR scanning code. We have a homegrown, very robust technology of geofencing. So if I have to come and make a delivery at your location, to make sure the organization, the governance is in place, that I have, if there's a change, supposing Kshitij wants to cancel the order, right? So I should make sure that that Arvind Mohan has gone to Kshitij's doorstep and then said, Kshitij, sir, I don't want to the delivery. OTP can't be given, but the system can track by geofencing that Arvind was in 200 meters radius of your location, of your doorstep. So these kind of technologies we brought in for pickups from sellers as well as delivering to the end customers. So this was on the customer side. Then comes employees. Where I have a little difference from the general concept and thought, which is emanating in this panel. For employees, in last 8-9 months, what we have experienced, that they are working from home, but there's a sense of FOMO, that fear of missing out, loneliness, isolation. And then let's be very frank, we aren't used to be working from home. Everybody, all of us who are on call at the moment and talking about virtualization and things like that. The core of us believes in getting up, getting ready and going to a workplace, be it a factory, be it a plant, be it a warehouse, be it an office, right? So at least we are seeing that people are wanting to come back to the office and start working, right? So another thing is that I feel that technology, of course, very, very important, but you can't remove the human element. A hybrid of technology and human. I heard someone talk of human to human. I understand that, but technology plays a very important role in between, right? So like for our thousands of customers who approach us, to our agents who are interacting or giving update, we have automated, empowered and equipped them with automation, with technology, with AI, right? I think in the beginning, the Sushant, Saurabh, the one who opened the session, was talking of enabling that entire data of a customer who calls up from his number. The person has the entire history of that customer. So we automated all of that, use tools like from partners like Avaya and others who offer. And then but we didn't automate the response. We believe in empathy. We believe in that human touch. So that the last point, last touch has to have that human angle. So that it's not an automated response, which is very cold, which is very monosyllable, or which is very, very machine language. So the last touch from our organization is still a lot of empathy, where the information is fed by a human being, right? So that is the other thing which I feel is that in a lot of organizations, as I mentioned, they picked up technology, and organization like ours, delivery, which is already technology intensive, we adopted a lot of platforms, hastened to the speed, got some things which are really out of the world, where we brought in technology to enhance the life cycle, improve the journey, improve the experience. So this is a mixed 360-degree play of technology all around for clients, customers, employees, and the organization. And also a hybrid, which I thought I must mention is very, very important, the human touch along with the machines. And one thing I want to make a mention here is that, I feel with every pandemic, be it Spanish flu or be it Black Plague, which was way back in 14th century, it has led to a paradigm shift. Globally, the thinking changes, right? So we are going through the same thing. Nothing new is happening. And what we are feeling is a new way of working, new normal of working. I think is only a prototyping. We will come in a couple of months, post-vaccine, post people reaction to how we are working, post how COVID-19 plays, how industries shape up. I think we are prototyping, and new normal would evolve out of all of this, was my thought process.
And one very important thing you always mention, that you try to embrace new technologies to ensure that the existing technology works for you. And I think your entire thing, like as you said, that IVR based automation, which was there, but it was innovated in the COVID times. Okay. API to API integration, you always talk about, which really help you seamlessly deliver the experience to your employees as well as to the customers. I think these are two very great points that you raised in the conversation. Thank you so much, Arvind. I think it's now time for us to summarize. And I have taken my notes. I'm not sure how to really prepare the wisdom out of the notes that I've taken from all your conversations, but still I will try to. Amit, thank you so much for mentioning that collaboration and experience for your employees in terms of motivating them and making their moral highs in the tough time makes sense. And this adoption has to be at a rapid pace. Thank you so much. And I wish that all your multiplexes go house full as soon as possible. And I need a pass from you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shah.
Coming back to Murli, marvelous things. Simplicity, not complexity. No technology, but intuitive user interface, which can create an experience which is used by even the people who are not educated to really use it. And I think that has been one of the key success factors and your learning in this. Thank you so much. Again, everything is boiling down to the experience of the user of the technology and creating comfort for the consumers that you have. I have one question for you, Murli, on my chat box, that whatever you do for streamlining your processes and tools and the way you do business, the question is, what are some of the steps taken to increase the impression and reach of the Wow Momo digitally? I mean, from consumer point of view.
So we have a in-house team, a group of 5 or 6 analysts who keep working on targeting. So Kshitij, what the way we look at is, we don't look at impressions. What we should ideally we work on is impression share. So that is something which is more important in from a marketing perspective. Mm-hmm. And impression share grows when you have it's got a lot of metrics. It's got metrics of one is what is the ad quality. So we constantly keep juggling on ad quality. We do one static, then we do one video, and then we have A/B testing happening, and then we have the C working better, which is a GIF. So we keep working on the formats bit. We keep working on the messaging bit. Something which is highbrow, something that is tongue-in-cheek, something that is simple, something that is upfront. So we keep working out on which audience likes what kind of messaging. So there are multiple messaging that reaches out to him. So therefore, the ad quality we keep working on. Second thing which we are very, very conscious in terms of working is that, see, the budgets were not frugal during the were very frugal during the pandemic situation. So with a frugal budget, we only could understand that how we would do impact level placement. We were not looking for frequency. We were not saying that the consumer has to see my ad some 7 times in a day whenever he opens Facebook. That was not our objective. So our objective was to look at impact level reach, impact level placement. So that was very important. And third, obviously, which any digital marketers and strong people work on to optimize the impressions is keep working on the targeting bit. What kind of person are you creating? Better lookalikes. Facebook has a lot of tools like Pixel, etc., which keeps helping me to retarget the consumer second time, third time. We know where exactly is dropped out. So that's a whole lot of ecosystem which we work on, and there is the in-house team which works and tracks on a regular basis.
Great.
So this is a separate conversation subject altogether.
I think Jitesh Bodkar, I think you would have had your answer. I think thank you so much, Murli, for being very detailed in terms of exploring this. Again, I will repeat the key words that you said, that user experience matter. intuitiveness of that experience is also a great thing to do. Speed is again very important. And I think it goes in parallel. The whole process should be the part of digital transformation, not only just one part. Coming back to Sudhir. Sudhir, thank you so much. The insights that you have given is very important, and it is actually echoing across the platform, that human to human touch, which is, we call it at Avaya, experience that matter. I think it's a very key theme. You said that barring experiences is one thing, but digitally drive the whole ecosystem, including the supply chain in your case, is very, very important. So digital transformation has to be considered in a totality, and it should be creating some human kind of experience for the people who are using it. Thank you so much, Sudhir. I think we have a longer discussion. We are only anyways rushing. Tushar, thank you very much. You were very, very clear in terms of telling that unpredictability is going to be there, and a proactive approach in terms of delivering any technology, be it enabling remote workers with the collaboration tools you have, or having your own customers who are trying to reach out to you, or you are going to reach out to them. I think proactive approach is going to be the key in terms of managing the time to come. Thank you so much for being with us. Coming back to Arvind. Arvind, many things I have noted down. Okay, look at this. I would like to summarize that conveniences is very important. Innovation only happens in the tough times. So something which was actually there, you innovated in a few days. Human touch will not go away. So I think you should have a little bit of voice contact center, and we can help. Yeah. Technology to technology interface is very, very important, because if technologies work in isolation, experiences cannot be created. I can request any one courageous gentleman or a woman to ask one question from this elite panel that we have, and we can answer that in a minute or so, and then we will wind up.
Anurag has raised his hand.
Yes, Anurag, you can introduce yourself and put a question, please.
You're on mute, Anurag.
Anurag, you unmute yourself and ask a question.
I'm sorry, I think I was on mute. So I basically lead the enterprise business from Avaya for this region. And let me state in the beginning, it has been a very insightful session for us all. Great learnings in what you shared with us and how you could tide through this rough period. It is very clear that we need some sort of divine intervention to kind of adopt to something new. And that is what has happened during this time. If you look at the adoption of cloud, adoption of automation, adoption of a lot of digital initiatives, I think it has helped us all in terms of, changing or adapting to the new normal. I just had one quick question, although you did share your experiences, I was listening to Arvind in terms of how most untested BCP has been tested. So if all of you can possibly share an experience or a situation you remember wherein, from a technology intervention standpoint, that this would have helped us further better the customer experience. Any use case, any scenario you remember, or you still feel a gap from a technology standpoint, which can be addressed or which you are looking to address? Was I audible? I'm sorry.
No, you were, and by the time we get this answer, I would like to congratulate and thank Dr. Nirmal Rana, the only participant who had camera on and being very, very attentive in this session. Thank you so much, Dr. Nirmal Rana. Yeah, and I think Arvind, you can answer Anurag's concern. Anurag, if you can repeat your question once again in shortly, then I think.
Yeah, Arvind, sure. Arvind, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. No, I was just asking, although you guys have taken a lot of initiatives in terms of making the customer experience better during this scenario, and of course, ensuring the services are not affected. Is there any situation or a use case you remember wherein, you feel that this gap still exists, or is there in terms of furthering this experience to your end customers, to your employees, which you maybe want to kind of incorporate in the current scheme of things?
Yeah, one has used technology. There's no doubt about it. Leverage integrated the platforms with our homegrown platforms, but we still find a gap in terms of there are tools available. If a person gives his tracking ID or his unique number or calls from a registered number, we're able to have the entire details of the shipment. But I still feel there is a gap in the integration between the platforms to draw out all the information and be made available to the end customer. I still feel there is a gap there. If that can be plugged in, right? And the similar is also from the client end. Despite enhancement, improvement, API integrations, there are so many facets in the API integration, whether it is for complaint management, whether it is for support, whether it is order logging, whether it is tracking, whether it is return management. The seamless integration still doesn't take place. And there are places where a manual intervention or Excel sheets or mail still flow. So if we have a solution where a platform, a layer sits between...
Which can help you automate...
end to end,
Yep.
There are no gaps left.
Okay.
The entire life cycle is covered by a full integration.
Oh, great. So maybe I'd like to connect with you, Arvind, later on. I think there's not the right time to kind of discuss this, but I hear you. Okay.
One small point of view, Anurag.
Yep.
Anurag, I think that India as a country, we have so many diverse languages, but there has never been a platform that helps us to create vernacularity of the content or of the platform seamlessly. I am talking this out of my personal experience. We had to do everything like from like a do it analog and then digitize it. Why can't there be a digital solution to this?
Okay.
So that's something I think as a country, I don't know, while Google has been trying to do a lot of things, that's not translated well to at a platform level. It's something that I feel. I don't know. I might be wrong, and I might not have hit up the right platform.
No, I hear you. I think you are right to some extent. Yes, I mean that's a gap. But although we have, you named Google, we have a lot of other providers in terms of addressing those kind of requirements. So thanks for sharing that.
If I may just answer, or rather make a comment to what was mentioned, Murli, there are platforms and there are tools available which are good translators, or even voice bot which are multilingual. They're available. We initially pre-COVID times we had done some tests. They're pretty effective, and if I may say so, Indian homegrown ones are more efficient with our regional languages, the ones. But at the same time, how cost effective they would be? What is the use case? What is the volume? Is it scalable? Is something which stops its use case actually.
So in case you have not finalized anything, Arvind, I mean, we would be interested to touch upon that topic a little later on.
Certainly.
Sorry, I mean, a sales guy can't stop spotting an opportunity. So
this is an irresistible trait of any sales.
Yeah, actually. So would connect with you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, Kshitij, over to you.
And Arvind, for your comments. I would like to thank Sadhan for putting appreciation for me. Thank you so much, Sadhan. And before I thank you all, I would like to thank on behalf of the esteemed panel to the entire audience who were listening to us. Thank you so much for being there, guys. We will come back soon and then meet in any next event. Thanks, Amit, Tushar, Arvind, Murli, Sudhir, for being with us. I think it was a great learning for us. I'll try to prepare my notes and try to share with the panel members. I think it is really going to help many of us.
I think you did a fantastic job. Driving these conversations and making the audience also feel interesting. And
Thank you so
Ekta,
much.
congratulations to you and your organization for hosting this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Rana, for being there all the time on video. Thank you so much, Ekta. And let's
Thank you,
let's
Kshitij. It was a really pleasure listening you all learned speakers here. It was really my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Dr.
thanks, Dr. Rana.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So,
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
yes, so before we, yeah. So I think we are done with the questions. The audiences have asked their questions. So before we wrap up the session, just a small closing note. So we have understood, like with the unprecedented times that we have encountered, like so far in 2020, and as the world grapples with the ongoing health crisis, the implications of CX in today's day and age have become far more pervasive given the new world order. No doubt the pandemic has changed the way we work and live, which has also highlighted not only the importance of digital transformation, but also the fact that the journey is continuous. So on this closing note, I would like to thank our partner Avaya India and all our thought leaders for taking out their precious time and being here and sharing really some great insights on CX Talks. Not missing our lovely audiences for taking out their precious time and being here. I hope you all had a great session, like interacting with our speakers. Hope all your questions were answered. We shall be updating the video link on our website shortly and would be sharing with you all. Also, my team has shared with the audiences a feedback form, which also mentions about one-on-one brainstorm meet with Avaya. So if you are interested, you can please mention that in the feedback form. Yes, so thank you everyone. It was really we are glad to have you all on this platform. And thank you and have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yes,
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.